How is it going, guys? This is Peter here, and you are watching a Guild Wars 1 Ritualist guide. Similarly to Assassins, Ritus are also a very beginner-friendly class, has many great, easy-to-use builds, and are only available if you start a new char in factions. One of the best things about Ritu is the ability to summon spirits, and not just offensive but defensive ones too, and the Ritu unique attribute called Spawning Power can make these creatures buff like hell. For each rank of spawning power, the summoned creatures get 4% extra HP and some increased armor. Plus, let's not forget spawning power also extends weapon spells by 4% for each rank. And for those who have no idea about weapon spells, this is kind of like a buff to you and your ally's weapon. It changes the weapon skin for a short period of time, so there is a visual side, and also adds the user some benefits like more damage on hits, extra HP, extra energy, etc. So in one word, spawning power is the bread and butter for Ritus. They also have an attribute called channeling magic. Here we have powerful spirits, lightning damage spells. We could say the most damage oriented builds are in this group. Then there is communing. This is a bit similar to channeling because there is a high number of spirits here as well, but in this section we get not just offensive but defensive skills too. And the last one is restoration magic skills which heal or protect allies. And you know, Ritus are decent healers too, the masters of removing conditions, keeping groups alive, or if things go bad they can resurrect party members as well. With 60 armor rating, Ritus are not your perfect melee candidates, however I'll show some melee builds too. Their energy is decent, usually somewhere between 40 and 60. HP is rather in the lower category because many of their builds require 1 or even 2 superior runes to work best, and this goes with some HP sacrifice too. I think for most Ritu builds a 40-40 weapon set is good enough, maybe high energy set, and that's all. To be honest, a good amount of Ritu builds rely on item spells, and if you hold a bundle item in your hands, the weapon you have equipped your char with does absolutely nothing. So you can't gain any benefit from the halves costing or recharge time mods. Also, spirits are not spells, but binding rituals, ergo you can't recharge them faster like this. There are a few occasions when a 40-40 set can help, but guys, keep these things in mind. Alright, now let's see what are the pros and cons of using a Ritualist. I think the best thing about Ritus is their diversity. If you want to be the best damage dealer in your group, you can do that as a Ritu. Think of spirit spammers for instance, easily 150 or more damage each second. And if you want to save your group, you can go a full healer or proter. I think they are close to the level of primary monks in terms of healing, but they lose with no divine favor, they get back with higher base healing and spirit usage. Also, this class is capable of defending whole groups for a short period of time. Just think of soul twisting builds for instance, blocking and damage reduction for the whole party. And if you want to mix damage and heal, you can do that as well. Think of an SOS healer hybrid or even melee dagger spam is possible with the right setup. And also many of the Rit builds, especially the spirit ones, deal armor ignoring damage, another superb advantage compared to other classes. You can even tank groups with spirit walls, they can function as meat shields too. Plus with a high rank of spawning power, your spirits become stronger than yourself, even tankier than warriors or paragons. Just out of curiosity, the highest level spirit is level 28. See how a Spirit of Rejuvenation can tank bladed attacks even in hard mode. Wiki says at level 26 spirits have 158 armor and 936 HP. The crazy numbers, to be honest. Guys, just for comparison, Warrior with a shield set has 96 armor. Told you spirits are OP, and I think the last advantage is the extended duration of weapon spells. Just think of Splinter weapon, Great Dwarf weapon. With a high spawning power you can make this last much longer, like 50 or even more %. Of course there is no class in Guild Wars 1 with no disadvantages. This is true for Ritu as well. They don't really have a decent tank build, they can't really remove hexes, are vulnerable to the usual coaster weaknesses like backfire, interrupts, daze conditions. The low armor and low HP makes them easy targets sometimes, and many of their builds require a lot of energy usage, and the beep support might be necessary. I think quite many Ritu builds work perfectly fine on their own, but maybe a monk is a good choice to gain access to some extra hex removal skills, or strength of honor for instance. Assassin is also good for dagger spam or Assassin's Promise builds. Ranger can help with the recharge time reduction, think of Serpent's quickness for example. Mesmer is useful if you want to get a copy of any of your skills, like Destructive was Glaive for example. Or some solo farm builds rely on Mantra of Resolve, Channeling, these are good alternatives as well. To be honest, you can play it as dumb as possible and still do decent damage, but there are a few tips which worth mentioning. First one is Technobabble and Spirits, one of the best combos in game in my opinion. Daze the coasters and let your spirits do the rest. If used properly, this can shut down whole groups for a few seconds, and highly recommended for spirit spammers. The next tip is also for those who use spirits. It's Armor of Unfeeling. This is a great way to make your spirits tankier. With some investment on communing, you are able to maintain a 50% damage reduction to spirits and give them immunity to critical hits. In my opinion, this is crucial for ST and very useful for SOS builds as well. Another tip, Summon Spirits. This is a must-have if you wanna use spirits. Not just gives your spirits mobility, but can also be used for healing them or taking them out of danger. Blood's Power Necro heroes are always welcomed, especially for certain read builds. Like I mentioned how energy heavy some builds can be, but if you have a BIP Necro in your team, you can take care of the energy needs. One of the best ways to maximize efficiency as a read is to precast certain skills. Think of weapon spells, Splinter or Great Dwarf weapon is a good choice for melees. If you precast it on a warrior for instance, you can extend the time when he's under the effects of the weapon spell. The same applies to certain binding rituals, especially those which have a longer recharge time. Use them before the battle and teleport them to your place with summon spirits and use them again if needed. And let's not forget that we have a spirit minion display option, press Z or Y. I think this depends on what type of keyboard you have. This is a great way to check which of your spirits get damaged, which one should be reused soon, or simply a reminder that you should activate a spirit or two. Another tip, or more like a reminder, if you are in a picked up group and there are several ritus, make sure you don't bring the same spirits. Only one can leave at a time, and if you would use an SOS for example, this would destroy the other rit spirits and vice versa. So always double check what spirits and what builds you are running. And my last tip is simply the importance of spawning power. Don't forget this attribute. Seriously guys, this is a game changer for ritus. Gives you stronger spirits and longer weapon spells. Get ready for some OP builds now. Meta number 1 has to be Signet of Spirits, aka SOS. The elite creates free spirits, and as Yoda said in the Star Wars movies, fear is the path to the dark side, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. So we have free spirits with one skill, then you can add Blood Song, Vampirism and Pain. Aggro fools with Painful Bond and use Technobabble too. Summon spirits to have spirits around you all the time. Armor of Unfeeling to make your spirits tanky, and that's it. If fools are weak, you can add other spirits instead of the Armor of Unfeeling, or you can add Splinter weapon if there are melees, or Great Dwarf weapon, those are good as well. Probably you could solo the whole game and almost any boss with a build like this, and if energy would be a problem, you can always bring a Spirit Siphon too, but Emo BIP should be enough. Destructive was Glaive is our next elite, another channeling magic one. People used to clear DOA with this, but then meta changed, still a fun bar to try. Copy the elite with Arcane Echo, maintain channeling and try to reach as many fools as you can. The elite deals great damage and has one of the best animations of all skills. You can increase the DPS with Spirit Rift and Ancestor's Rage, Pain Inverter and Evas. The next build is a classic Assassin's Promise build. As a promise, you move like a dwarf, finish him and Ebon Battle Standard of Honor. Try to give Splinter and Rage to the summoned assassin and enjoy the show. Probably the best defensive build of all time, Soul Twisting, or simply ST as we call it. Guys, the order of skills is super important. Many ST users have no clue what they are doing. Always use Displacement, Shelter and Union in this order. Why is that? It's simply logic. There is an enemy group, so what's gonna happen? They start attacking and using spells. Displacement gives a blocking chance, And if they can hit through, we still have Shelter to have a plan B, which reduces the damage to maximum 10% of your HP, and Union also negates part of the damage packet. If you would change the order, you would lose a good part of the efficiency. In order to recharge the free spirits faster, use Soul Twisting before them and do it before the battle. Armor Fan Filling is a must-have, and maintain Boon of Creation and use Summon Spirits too. The next one is an SOS Healer hybrid. This build can do some damage and also help with healing. Classic hero build, but can be used as a real player as well. Attuned Vasonkai is a great skill to reduce the cost of spells and binding rituals for a long period of time. If used with Serpent's Quickness, you can infinitely maintain the elite and use 5 energy skills for 2 energy and 10 energy skills for only 4 energy. It's a bit similar to the Ranger's expertise. The next build is a modified SOS one. Here we focus more on buffing an ally but still keeping the majority of the damage with spirits. Strength of Honor and Great Dwarf Weapon on a melee is always welcomed. If there is an SOS in the pack, you can run this Signet of Ghostly Might build too. This relies on communing and not on channeling, so your spirits and the SOS can live together. Great damage, enchantment removal and blinding foes are on the menu here. I haven't introduced Ritual Lord yet. I feel like we should use this elite more often because it is definitely meta category. Plus for Ritualist attributes for the next skill and like 50% faster recharge on binding rituals. Use it with rejuvenation and recuperation to provide a massive HP gain for the whole party, and use the other restoration skills when an ally is in trouble. Same trick but different spirits. Use Ritual Lord before Destruction and Agony, then use Spirit Rift, Ancestor's Rage and explode the Spirit of Destruction with Raptor Soul. Great damage and some entertaining stuff. Ritus can also use dagger skills, but the lack of energy gain makes it somewhat difficult. Nonetheless, Spirit Strength is OP if you're under the effects of a weapon spell. I choose Vital Weapon, but feel free to try with Great Dwarf Weapon or Splinter Weapon too. The build is energy heavy, so always wield Zealous Daggers and use Lotus Strike anytime you can. Plus bring a Beep Necro too, that will also help with the energy gain. So have the Rit got a meta anniversary elite? Yes and no. I mean, the Weapons of Reforge is a good skill, especially with the minion army, but the fact that you can't control what weapon spell goes to which ally makes it kind of weird. In my opinion, this elite is mostly for fun purposes, but there are better choices too for the elite slot. The next build is also fun, Spirit Strength and bow skills. Sadly I don't have the new anniversary bow yet, the one which has the spawning power requirement, but I guess the normal bow is just good enough for a quick presentation. Use Splinter and the elite, place the ward and try to hit a big group with volley, duel or triple shot. To be honest, Ritualists can solo almost anything in the game since spirit spammers are super, but let's see 5 of their best solo farms. I think numero uno has to be the Winds of Change Ministry farm. Clear the first part of the quest with heroes, run to the glitch spot and tank foes. You can place the spirit somewhere behind this place and maintain the resilient was Sicko, and when enough foes are around you, place the ward, preferably during no backfire times, and spike with 100 blades followed by whirlwind attack. The next one is a Smite Crawler farm in the underworld. Clear the first area with heroes, then flag them somewhere out of range and all drops will be yours. Heroes can't leech. Use Arcane Echo and Ventuva's Kanhai, followed by Ancestor's Visage, Sympathetic Visage and let the Actos come. Best if you aggro with Generous was Tsungrai, so the moment you use the elite you are healed for almost 300. Maintain physical resistance through the fights and watch out for cold fires. The next farm is also in the underworld, but this time we focus on the Chaos Planes. After dealing with the Banished Dream Rider, you can use Kinetic Armor and maintain it with Azuran Scan. The Mesmers can interrupt, so always use Glyph before the elite and maintain Feel No Pain as well. 40-40 set can help match or pop an Essence of Celerity to get 20% faster recharge times. The next one is only for experienced players, a feather farm in North Krita province. In hard mode, the Tengus may drop feathers up to 21 and also scalps, lockpicks, runes, so the general hard mode loots. Maintain Mantra of Resolve against the Karami Tengu White and try to reach as many rangers and warriors as possible with the weakness. A good farm, but some experience with vengeful farms are required. The next place is much more for beginners though. Yaya Bluffs is the name of the place. You can aggro as many groups as you want, even 2 or 3 groups, just make sure you copy the elite in time. And use Snowstorm and Fuse HPs like sub 50%. A great farm, absolutely beginner friendly and yields many feathers. The last place is a plant fiber farm, Dragon Mosses here. They may drop dragon roots which contain plant fibers when salvaging. In order to farm here we need a quest called the New Escort. Leave Saint Njaka Shrine, grow all the allies and position yourself below the hill. Don't go too close so they won't use spells but their auto attacks which can reach you. Maintain Prod Spirit and Spirit Bond and use the elite as often as possible. Great farm for OS items as well. I think Ritualists are not that used in speed clears, except in the underworld speed clears maybe. They are typically part of the Veil team and use SOS, Spirit Leaves, Battle Standard of Honor, Quickening Zephyr and other skills to help out the group. Maybe you can use a Rit in the deep with Edge of Extinction, Great Dwarf Weapon, Destructive Glaive and that's it. So guys, I think Ritualist has potential in both healing, protecting allies and causing high damage on enemy groups. They may not be the best choice for speed clears, but with spirits they can beat almost anything in game, even without heroes. And if you're thinking about coming back to the game, Ritus are definitely a good choice. Their meta builds are easy to use, beginner friendly, and they help beating campaigns quickly. So guys, this was my Ritu guide, hope you enjoyed. Anyway, 2 vids left, Paragon and Dervish. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.